earlier, we opened the meeting at 6 p.m. and then we went into closed session. And now we're coming back in for our regular session at 7. Mr. Al Wallace is the president. He couldn't make it here tonight. I'm the vice president, so I'll be presiding tonight. Madam Secretary, could you read the necessary information for public comments?
Yes.
This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item not on the agenda by business. They have opportunity to district from taking any action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized under 54954.2 of the Government Code, and your matter may be referred to the general manager. An individual may also address the board on any agenda item at the time the matter is discussed and prior to board consideration or action. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Your time will start when you approach the podium, and you will be given a 30-second warning before your time expires. If you choose to ask a question during this time, any response by the board will not extend your time. Questions may be referred to the general manager to be answered at a later time after the meeting. In order to allow for a smooth and orderly meeting and allow each speaker the ability to address the board, disruptions from the audience will not be tolerated and you could be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in this democratic process.
Okay, public comments on items not on the agenda. Go ahead. Come forward and you could introduce yourself.
I'm Leonard Broadway. My wife and I are property owners in Rosamond. And you see what, man?
Where? Here.
Rosamond, California.
Oh.
And my wife and I received a summons for foreclosure on our home. And the amount was for, it was stating that we were being sued to execute foreclosure sale on our home for delinquent assessment, District 1990-2, $95.41. AD 1991-3, $33.99 for tax year 2011 and 2012. Now, we paid our taxes that year, but I was late. And I'm just being honest. But the thing is, we were unaware that this was taken off the book. This was taken off our tax roll, the second installment, after talking to Kern County tax collectors in October. They did a detailed search and found out that it was taken off by RCSD without our knowing. We don't have the power to take it off or to put it on. And it was taken off without us being aware. And the thing is, if we had known about it and given notice within that year's time frame, we would have paid it, but we were not notified. And the thing is, all we're asking, we pay our taxes, and we want to pay our taxes, but the thing is, I just think it was unfair that we were not notified. And then we were notified in 2015, 2016 by the lawyer for, is Burke? Yeah, in 2015. And for that amount of money, what was owed is $237 for penalty
Oh my gosh.
and so forth, but then what they want us to pay is $4,813.41. And we don't mind paying what we have to pay, but the thing is, we need more time, because, you know, life goes on, and the thing is, I have children in college. You know, it's just things that happen that drain our savings that we were not able to come up with what's necessary. Now, we were supposed to respond to this summons by the 9th of November. And if we don't respond, by default, we lose. So the thing is, what I'm asking the board for more time, that we be able to do what, to pay to prevent foreclosure, in other words.
The board, obviously this is not on the agenda. The Brown Act requires it to be on the agenda for the board to take action, so we'll refer that to the general manager.
I understand.
And we've heard you now, and if it needs to come up before the 9th, or obviously.
Oh, it has to come up before the 9th.
Well, if the manager wants to talk to our attorney, he says, you know, extend this past the 9th so I can talk to the board about it, they can do that. You don't, obviously, if someone says one thing, but the other side is us. If we say we'll give you more time, to answer the summons or to pay, that's always something that can be worked out, so talk to the general manager.
Fine, and our attorney, Bradley Weeks, is the one that asked us to come.
Can we ask questions that would clarify it more?
Remember, this is always a closed session item, and this is possible litigation in
This is
ongoing
actual
litigation.
litigation.
This is actual litigation that has to be done in closed session. So I think the attorney would advise you to not talk about it, discuss it, or ask questions. And I know Brad also, and so
As
I'll
do I.
call, yeah, I know Brad Weeks very well.
Okay.
And so you can have Brad call me too, and then we can meet, and, we're gonna meet together on Thursday sometime when you come in, and I'll call Martin, and we'll figure things out.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Anybody else on items? For example, William, you had something to say?
I've been roving over 25 years and make it short. The way they got the date put up for the 19th for senior citizens or old people that are older, that they could set the date, make it a little longer. I like to try to get mine set for the 28th because I'm on a fixed income. And due to the fact I've had a mild stroke, and I don't want to leave this world like my dad left, because a lot of us in here, we probably won't see no 80. I just turned 73, and there's a lot of us in here probably won't even see my age. And I think I'm seeing my age, and I just want to get that date changed for mine to the 28th. I'm not asking for a lot, but I'm asking if they do it, that they do it for seniors that's 66 and older, because Social Security says full retirement is 66. So I'm trying to stay within that guideline that they have. If you're 66 and over, you should be able to, have a date so that you could be able to get in if you're on a fixed income. Because I don't have a whole lot of time in this world, and I know that. I already know that. And I'm not going to live forever, because when I'm dead and gone, the water company's still going to be here. So I just think it for senior citizens or disabled people that are over, that are 66 and on, that they should get a break, because I don't see where our government is doing hardly anything for seniors. They didn't do anything for my dad and my mom, and they died in a nursing home and lost their homes and everything they had. And that's the way a lot of us will go out of here. Thank you.
For the general manager, you maybe look into that? Anybody else with public comment on something that's not on the agenda?
Not on the agenda. It's not? It's not?
Wait, if it's not on the agenda, you can pipe up. Now's the time to do it.
I'm Penny Barnhill. I'm also a Rosamond homeowner for over 22 years. I want to know what's being done with the water as far as it goes, the hexavalent chromium. It's above the acceptable levels, and according to the newsletter I got, the only recourse that they've taken is to drill a well that still has maximum value of chromium. Is that the only alternative that's being pursued? Right now I've got water I can't drink.
I think there are other avenues that we're pursuing, but I'll let the general manager
Yes,
respond.
the water that you have, you can drink and it's safe to drink. The MCL was set recently by the state of California. The level throughout the United States is 100 parts per billion. California had set it at 50 parts per billion. It's basically because of the Hinckley incident, with Aaron Brockovich. And then the state of California lowered it to 10. So it's somewhat, an artificial warning to you that it used, still if you go to other states, it's 100, but they lowered it to 10 here. There's actually a court case in California that the judge is deciding that California shouldn't have lowered it that fast, and they didn't have justification, and they're looking at it, so it might go back up again. But because we're just right below, and we pull maybe 12 or 14 sometimes, and so we have to send out that notice, but your water is safe to drink. If it wasn't safe to drink, then they would be saying, okay, you gotta stop, and we have to tell everybody don't drink your water. But that's not the case. What their state's doing is we're going through a 5-year study to find out how would be a better way to lower that a little bit more. And so the well actually tested okay, but we're looking at it, is that gonna be adequate, or are we gonna take, you know, water from the aqueduct and blend it? Are we looking at scrubbers that actually, ionization, take the chromium out? There's another way that takes iron and turns it from chrome 6 to chrome 3, which is in your vitamins. So we're looking at a lot of different things, and we're going through the state with that. But it's fine to drink, otherwise you get a warning, don't drink your tap water.
Are you satisfied with that? No.
Any other public comments?
Yes. I see the agenda, there's nothing about our parks and recreation here at the park. Now, you guys see me up here almost every other meeting, if not every meeting, about our parks here in Rosamond. You got it fenced off, it's fenced off now for 6 weeks. Kids can't even go back there and play in the playground at all now, you got it all fenced off. Before they used to play, I know the sidewalk was cracked, I took my granddaughter there the other day and it's still fenced up. Nothing's on the agenda, no parks and recreation. Yes, water, sewer is very important, I'm here for that too, but I'd like to know what's going on down there.
General Manager?
Yes, sir. You actually was the one that brought to the attention, we were looking at it, that it was dangerous.
Yes.
And that the cement was broken. Okay, and that takes financing to fix it. So what we did as a safety measure, so no child would get injured, is we fenced it up. And now we're looking at financing.
That's good, huh?
Yeah, so- So you were
6,
the,
8
you were
weeks.
the, and I thank you because you were the impetus for us to look at that. And so, we're getting bids on the cement, anything, you know, because it's government, it's not a business. We have to look at the bids, we have to actually say if we're gonna go out for an RFP and get, somebody to come out and do it, it's gonna cost some money. We're seeing if there's actually money in the budget to actually do that right now. So, it's in the process, but we thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, well, let's bring attention, you got tree stumps sticking up, kids could trip over. You got bolts sticking up where all that stuff's around the swings, kids are tripping over, kids are taking them out. You got light fixture back there with all the wires hanging out, kids could come up and grab it, and that's not fenced off.
So fence the park?
What are you gonna do? Get it
I don't know,
fixed?
we'll have
I
to
mean,
go
the
and
park
look at
looks
it.
beautiful, you got it watered now, you're having somebody edge and cut it, I said, okay, but,
So we'll have somebody
Kids.
go out there and look at those other things that you brought up.
okay, the bathrooms, which one's the man, which one's the women? No signs on the doors or nothing. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Things that are not on the agenda?
Is it on what's on here or not on here?
What's not on the agenda?
Okay.
All right, then we'll move to item M1, minutes, approve October 18, 2016 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Been moved that do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glenn, by Mr. McKay, second by Mr. Glennon. Any discussion about the October 18th minutes? Any discussion from the public, the board? Call for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Minutes are approved. Consent calendar. I've got CC1, approved check voucher register from 10/11/16 to 10/24/2016. The final 2015 to 2016 budget to actual, and the cash balances for August 2016. I personally like to thank Brad Rockabrand for the budget to actual. That's very helpful. Is that something we want to have on a consent calendar, or do we want to have some questions? Do you have any questions for Brad on that? No? All right, do I have a motion on the 3 consent items, or one at a time? It's up to you guys.
I'll move on all 3. Second.
Moved by Mr. McKay, second by Mr. Shingledecker to approve all consent calendar items. Any discussion for the public? Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. New business. NB1, file and accept the 2015-2016 audit. Brad Rockabrand, Director of Finance, is our presenter. As well as, this is for Rogers, Anderson, Maloney, and Scott LLP, which I believe is an independent auditor, is that correct?
That's correct, sir. Thank you. So in your agenda packet, you'll see the staff report written by me, just kind of introducing through executive summary and discussion analysis. At a very high level, what an audit is, And then we have the partner of the CPA firm who conducts our audit here to go over financial statements themselves. Each year, an independent audit of the district is conducted in conformity with generally accepted auditing standards. Those standards require that the independent CPA firm plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. An independent audit examines evidence to support the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. The CPA firm expresses an opinion on the fairness of the presentation of the financial position and the results of operations of the general purpose financial statements of the district in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles as applicable to local governments. The district contracts with CPA firm Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott to perform an annual independent financial audit. An external audit demonstrates the accountability of the use of public resources by government officials, assists elected officials in their own decision-making roles, provides the basis for constructive changes which benefit the government, its officials, and citizens, tests the internal accounting controls of the district, provides a mechanism to alleviate operational inefficiencies and errors, and reasonably detect financial malfeasance, tests the district compliance with laws, regulations, contracts, and grants. The annual financial report is primarily designed for external readers, local residents, and bond rating services. The management letter from RAMS is attached, which provides information regarding the conduct of the audit of the annual financial report. It is important to note that the fiscal year-end audit report is for the reporting entity only and does not cover any other organization or the district's dealings with any other organization, including that of the foundation. And with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Terry Shay. He's the partner of Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott, responsible for our engagement.
Thank you, Mr. Rockabrand, Mr. Vice President, board members, and staff. First, I want to thank Brad and the finance department staff for all the help they gave us and the rest of the district staff. As Brad mentioned, we have a letter in front of you. Do they have a copy of it?
Yes, it's in the agenda.
And it's called the Statement on Auditing Standards, letter number 114. And what that is it states at the top what our responsibilities are. And it says our responsibilities as prescribed by professional standards is to plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable rather than absolute assurance. An audit includes consideration of the internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the internal control. If you look on page 2, we'll go to the qualitative aspects of accounting policies. The district's main accounting policies that they follow are in Note 1. There was one new standard this year, but it wasn't significant to the district.
Where is Note 1 in?
Note 1 in your financial statements, in the audit report.
Is it on the page, or like page 2?
Note 1 in the audit report starts on page 24. And that describes all the policies that the district follows. Back to page 2. There are significant accounting policies. There are significant estimates in this financial statements. One is the depreciation on the capital assets, and the other is the estimate of the net pension liability and the deferred inflows and outflows. And then those disclosures are also kind of sensitive because they're based on estimates, based on actuarials or historical cost and how long the asset would live. If you turn to page 3, we encountered no significant difficulties in dealing with management. There were no corrected or uncorrected mistakes. We did no journal entries. We had no disagreements with management, and we also received a written representation from management. Any questions on this letter?
Okay, I think in the past we've had like one thing to correct, and so now we're down to 0 things to correct, is what you're saying?
Yes. Your staff does a great job in preparing. They do very well. So now we're going to go to the actual audit report itself.
Okay.
If you turn into page number 1, that is our opinion. What it states is we've audited the accompanying financial statements of the governmental activities, which is the district as a whole, the business type activities, which is the water and the sewer, and then each major fund of the Rosamond Community Service District as of June 30th, 2016. Management is responsible for the fair presentation of these financial statements, our responsibility is to express an opinion. And if you turn to page 2, there in the second paragraph, the short one, it says, "We believe that the evidence that we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion." And then the next paragraph is our opinion. And that is what is considered an unmodified opinion. A few years back, it was called unqualified, but they changed that about 4 years ago to unmodified. And that's the highest level of assurance that we can give on your statements. Any questions on the opinion?
The rating company would look at it and say, that's a good thing.
Yes. A lot of the changes, the way the new formats are, were driven by Wall Street and bond rating agencies, and so that kind of helps them understand it a little better.
So unmodified and no corrections. And what else?
We can go to the actual statements themselves now.
Okay.
A good thing to read, if you don't get a chance to read the whole thing, is the MD&A. I'm getting to the point where I can't see with or without my glasses.
What page is that on?
Page 7. And this is a condensed statement of net position. It has the whole district. It has the governmental activities, which is the park and recreation and the street lighting, and then the business type activities. And so if you look at the center column there, under the business type activities, your total assets at the end of this year were just under 49.5 million, and last year they're pretty darn close to the same. I know Brad has talked to a couple of the board members about the next number, that deferred outflows of resources, and the reason that is so much higher than last year is that payment you guys made to pay off your liability. And due to the timing of the actuaries, that will sit on your balance sheet this year, and then next year it goes against that liability.
You're talking about the $183,000 we paid to CalPERS in July of 2015?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it kind of offsets that pension liability, but next year it will be gone and it'll be a lot closer to that 350. Your current liabilities, or your total liabilities, went from 10,640,000 down to 9.8 million, so a good decrease. And then your total net position, which the business type activities, went up from just under 39 million to 40,730,000. So overall, a good year. We'll go back to the back now, where there's a little bit more detail for the water and the sewer. So if you turn to page number 19. This has the water and the wastewater, and it's your statement of net position, which used to be called the old balance sheet. You can see your total current assets in the water fund are 2.2 million, and the wastewater fund is 7,120,000. And if you look on page 20, your current liabilities for water are 576,000, and your wastewater are 657,000. And so you usually want a 2-to-1 ratio of those two, and so you guys are well over on both of those, than a 2-to-1 ratio. For a short term, the district's in good shape. So. Any questions on these balance sheets?
Is there any way you can tell whether water or sewer is in better shape?
Water is in a lot better shape. If you turn to the next page, and that's your liabilities. The biggest liability is the notes payable. And there's a note, we'll go over that.
We got the $8 million note on the wastewater.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's your biggest debt. And so then if you look towards the middle there, your net pension liability for the business type activities is 887,000. And there's a note in the back, we'll go over that in more.
Page 21?
Yeah. Okay, so page 21 is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. And so an important number here is that first column, water. Operating income loss, you had a loss of just under $1 million. And so that, from a standpoint, you can't continue that way.
Where does that show the $1 million loss on page 21?
You look on page 21, right in the middle, I'm just saying the operating income loss was $962,682 from operations.
Okay.
And then down below, you had some interest earnings, some interest expense. You had a grant for $718,000, and then a special item, which was the water acquisition sale, the water rights.
Right.
And then, so overall change in that position is positive, but if you take out the grant and you take out the water acquisition sales, then you're at a deficit. So, and that kind of, if you turn to page 22, you can see that you had a decrease in cash as well. And so net cash provided by operating up to the top for water, you lost just $450,000. Last year you had a positive $377,000 from operations. Overall, you had a net increase last year of $450,000 in water, and this year you had a loss of $901,000.
How much?
$901,000 in cash.
We lost in the water fund.
Yeah, from a cash basis.
Okay.
This statement takes the income statement and converts it to cash. Any questions on any of these?
As far as the cash basis, the sewer do okay last year? Or
Yeah, the sewer last year, the sewer had cash from operations of $1,183,000, an overall increase in cash of $768,000 compared to last year, $532,000. So sewer had a good year, wastewater.
Okay.
And then, any questions on any of these statements? We'll briefly hit a few notes. I know you guys have a big meeting tonight, so. Turn to page 35. This kind of tells you where your money's invested. You have some money at the local agency investment fund, but the majority of your money is invested with CalTrust. So if you turn to page 35, it kind of just does the same thing. These are not rated, but they're safe. And then
How do you know they're safe?
the full faith and credit of California for one, and then the other one is the day dollar in, dollar out. So you can get your money tomorrow if you want to. So. And then the most significant note is probably the capital asset note. And so if you turn to for the enterprise funds, the business type, if you turn to page 42. You can show you purchased land up there of just under $1 million, and then you had additional construction in progress of $382,000, and then $308,000 of that construction in progress was put into service this year, and then that's part of that facilities system there, that 331, and then you purchased some vehicles.
Where does the land show up on line?
Up on top, the first line
Land,
of the
okay.
table. So then depreciation was charged to water $1,462,000 and the wastewater $674,000. And the next biggest note would be your debt note. And that is page 46. The governmental activities, the only debt there is a portion of the PERS liability that gets allocated to it. And then in the water and the wastewater, you have the Zions Bank note, which is just a little over $2 million, and then the state water pollution control note of $5.8 million in the sewer fund. And then the net pension liability for water is $489,000, and for the wastewater is just under $400,000. And if you want to turn to the note for PERS, that starts. The most important part starts on page 52. The table in the middle shows the valuation date and the measurement date. Your pension liability last year was at $867,000, and this year it's $977,000. PERS did something different last year, and they changed how they did it this year, and they changed the discount rate from 7.5 to 7.65. And so that they feel that this is a better number than last year, so that's why it went up.
Discount rate, I get confused on that. That's how much they expect to make on their return on investment every year is 7.65%,
Yes.
and every year they make about 0.5%.
Last year, I think it was, about that.
how do they justify going even higher than?
They use a 10-year average. That's what they're going by.
Their 10-year average is 7.65%.
They had some years where it was like 13, 14. And so at that point, every plan in the state was super funded. But those days are long gone.
Dan has questions about it.
But it's a very political number, and I don't see them changing it dramatically, because you have a significant impact on almost every city and special district county in the state.
Political number, but if you're averaging by 10 for 10 years, politically they can do that because that's, math says that, right?
Right.
Okay. Politically, they say, okay, maybe 5 years wasn't good enough, now we're gonna make it 10, so we can get those years that were back in 2006 when things were good.
What they're trying to do is, it doesn't affect you guys this year because you prepaid almost all liability, but they're requiring almost every city or every district to pay an upfront fee on July 1 of every year, plus their normal PERS through the payroll. And their goal is to get the unfunded liability down in 15 years without raising the rates, but requiring an upfront payment is the same as raising the rates.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you turn to page 53, it kind of brings home the point you're making. If it goes to 8.65, our liability drops to 537,000. If it goes down to 6.65, the liability goes up to 1.5. So it's very, very volatile. And then the last thing I'll show you is on page 54. You can see that bottom, the first column, the deferred outflows of resources. And that number down there is pension contributions subsequent to the measurement date. And that was the amount of money we paid this year in the normal PERS, plus that lump sum payment. And so next year, that number will then flow through and lower your liability.
Okay.
Any questions on any of the report?
Questions? Any questions from the public?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we barely could hear him, and if this is not, if we don't have any kind of paperwork or know what's really going on, why are we subjected to this during this time, when that could be, if you just don't want anybody else to understand it, to have it in your board meeting before the people have come here to talk to you about things?
Well, my understanding,
The document-
correct me, the
the document
document is
was-
actually online. Is
The
that right?
document was published online on Friday.
A lot of us are not computer literate, we don't get online.
Okay.
So
So I
we're
guess,
like, we're like working around the dark in this place.
well, let me go ahead and ask him to summarize.
Always.
First, this is an audit that they do once a year, is that right?
Yes, sir.
To check on, these are an outside accounting firm, so they're not
I know.
our accounting firm. They came in and they've made two major findings. One is there are no corrections that are required. Two is, the finding is our audit is unmodified, which means that's the highest rating you can get. And that's the best thing, best news you can have. Then the other thing he brought out that's important for you, information tonight, is that although we are healthy, our cash position has gone down $900,000 on the water fund. And it's gone up a little bit on the sewer fund.
Well, of course.
And that needs to be put in perspective. One of the big problems with sewer fund is, as far as being healthy overall, is we got an $8.3 million loan we're still paying on the sewer plant, whereas water's not paying that.
Because we're not drinking it.
But
We're not bathing in it.
so please let me
We're
finish,
not
ma'am.
finishing it till I am.
Let me finish, ma'am.
You shut it down.
You asked the question, I'm answering it,
Yeah.
okay? So, the bigger picture is, because the sewer's doing better, later on tonight, you're gonna hear about whether sewer rates will be lowered. And because water's doing so poorly on a cash basis, you're gonna hear about whether that should be raised. So those are things that relate back to what he's saying tonight, if you wanted to put that in context. If you need to look at the book that he provided, I didn't realize that it has the same thing in it that I've been looking at my agenda packet, which is the same thing you got on Friday online. But if you need an extra one, you can borrow mine if you need to, but if you want to refer to it during further discussion, because that is important.
And so I can say, if you don't get on the computer and you're not allowed to see it, you can always come in on Friday and look at a hard copy, and there's always a copy posted right
Can
there.
we get answers
of all the
though,
agenda.
if we come in? Can we get answers?
If we have time, or I'm here, or somebody that can answer a question for you, we're always available to answer questions, or you can always come during the meeting. So the meetings are, you know, the first and second Tuesday of the month. You can always come in and pick up a hard copy agenda. First and third, I'm sorry.
The Rosamond Community Service District water has been operating in a negative for how long?
This report only covers a 1-year fiscal period, July 1st, 2015.
Okay, because I was at the meeting a year ago, and we were doing great.
2016. And the water fund, as it relates to this report, has been operating in a deficit that entire time.
What's the percentage, do you know?
Of
Per-
what?
Per year, we're talking 15%, 5%, 10%, what are you talking about as far as the deficit goes? Well, not the overall, I meant the percentage, because you're asking for about a 30% increase on water, and it doesn't sound like we've lost a 30% increase on the other end.
Our budget's $4 million, is that right for water?
Yes.
How many?
Just over.
Just over 4 million, and you're
4
just,
million?
so
Well,
it's about a 25%.
yeah, well,
loss.
That's
just,
substantial.
Yeah, but the new rate, you have to realize too, and if you read and you've been to the meetings on the water rates, and we'll talk about that tonight again, is it's not just that we're running in $1 million deficit, it's also, we're gonna be in a $3 million deficit in a few years because of the cost of water. If we have to buy water from AVAC because of what I call the court adjudicated drought, we can no longer pump the water from this district. We have to buy it from the state water project, and that costs, the difference is we pump it and chlorinate it for about $100 an acre foot, and we're gonna have to buy it at that time probably for almost $700 an acre foot.
Well,
so that's also incorporated into the rate study.
I understand that. What I don't understand is why are we paying for it, the future use, 3 years down the road? A lot of it's from fixed income. This hurts us. We'll pay it.
Right.
But it's something we're not
What's
crazy
happening, we
about.
can talk during that, but let's talk about that during the
Okay.
rate study.
No problem. I don't like we're operating in a deficit. That's the first I've gotten on this.
Yeah,
Any more questions for the auditor?
Can I ask what the $1 million land that we bought, what was that land we're talking about?
We bought water rights, and actually it was paid for.
Well, the
Not-
land,
not with the
where was this land?
it's 210 acres at 210th Street West, and Avenue B8, I think, is that right?
Yeah, it's down south of Avenue A in LA County, and we received 150 acre feet of water rights, of which I turned around and sold 94 acre feet of water rights for close to $1 million, so it basically paid for the acquisition. And now we have, because I made that deal, we have $500,000 worth of water rights and 210 acres of property that a farmer's going to lease out.
Okay.
So it turned out to be a good deal.
Can I ask what your position is here?
I'm the general manager.
General manager.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for the auditor, the independent auditor? Now's the time to ask.
Go ahead.
Okay, not having any further questions for the auditor. Any questions by the board? Any further questions? Well, do I have a motion to file and accept the 2015-2016 audit?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. McKay, second by Mr. Glennon to file and accept the 2015-2016 audit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0. All right, NB2 is to give staff direction to reallocate budgeted monies at mid-year for legal notices and a strategic plan consultant. Presenter Ronald D. Smith.
Yes, the board made some decisions. One was to pay for publications in 2 newspapers when we can. Like we had talked about, sometimes we can only get it in 1 newspaper that prints daily because there's an emergency and it's time sensitive and we gotta get it done like within a couple of days, because the other papers are weekly. And so that's gonna be about 25% extra of the budget that was not budgeted for, so we just need authority to move line items over on that. And then also, the board, under Mr. Olaf's suggestion, put $20,000 in for a hospitality consultant. And staff was talking, and we'd like to spend, we would like to spend that money to hire a strategic plan consultant. When a new board comes in, and if there's new members on the board, or if not, we need to sit down and find out as a board direction we're heading in and set the path. So we'd like just approval to a direction. We don't need a vote, we just need to give direction as a consensus to say, go ahead and move those line items and move forward with those.
I have a comment on the legal notices in 2 papers. I know that's what we want you to do. I'd like you to follow that and see if having it in 2 papers really has made any real significant difference as far as people being aware of things.
Yeah, that's a difficult metrics, and I don't really.
I mean, I just want you to kind of follow.
I'll try to follow it the
this
best I
year and
can
see.
without
Yeah.
hiring a statistician
Yeah.
and doing that. But we'll do our best to see what kind of response we have.
No constraints.
Okay, if
Okay,
that's the direction, then we'll move forward.
Yeah, I think a strategic plan consultant, we much needed in Parks and Recreation, water, sewer.
Well, it's everything.
Those 3 main ones for sure.
Well, that's for the board to decide what the
Okay,
main ones
but
are.
much more so than a hospitality consultant, so that,
Absolutely, absolutely.
okay, so you got your direction?
Yep, and then the next one, go ahead if you want to call that one, it's another
Number
direction.
MB3 is give staff the authority to take all actions necessary to complete the master meter project, including the purchasing and installation.
Correct, we talked about that last time, and we looked into it, and Brock is here if you have any questions. It's gonna be about, what, 460,000?
Approximately 460,000.
About 460,000, and we're gonna try to get them all installed by
We're hoping by June 30th, by the end of the fiscal year.
by June 30, by the end of the fiscal year. And we started doing estimations, and you can see in the staff report, it's gonna save anywhere from 80 to 100 man-hours a month. And also with all the problems that's not counting the problems that we've had with problems with rereads. And like we said, one of the meter readers just erased all the readings, and we had to try to work that out. And this is something that's been planned over 3 years, but we said, let's move it up now because we're gonna save more money in the long run. And also purchasing them now is gonna be cheaper than if we purchase more of them in 2 and 3 years. So staff as a whole said this is a good recommendation. I think we have to have that as a vote on this one.
Okay, I think we gave you direction before to go forward with that.
Right, and so we brought that back to you, so now we need to give the authority. Do we need a vote on that?
Yes.
Yeah, we need a vote on that to give me the authority to.
Do I have a motion to spend $460,000 by June?
No, that's not, give me authority to move this forward.
To take all action necessary to complete the water master meter project. Second. Moved by Mr. Singleton, second by Mr. McKay, all in favor? 4-0.
And we're always trying to come under budget, so.
All right, next item on the agenda is under public hearing, PH1, water and sewer rate increase, presented Ronald D. Smith on a public hearing regarding water and sewer power rate increase.
You need to open the public hearing.
Let's go ahead and open up the public hearing.
This is the rate study that we've been talking about for a while, and the direction was to go back and cut the budget and then see if we can reduce what was presented, which we did. And a number of things I'd like to say is that, we were talking about senior citizens and what the difference is. So what we presented and what we're presenting now, the first 3 HCFs are captured within the base rate. And remember that this study is different than the other studies and the rates that have been in the past, and what happens to other water districts. If there's a time of drought and there's conservation, some of the districts have taken their operation and maintenance budgets and placed it on some of the commodity rates. So when people cut back on water, we're not getting enough revenue, and so therefore you have to go and raise people's rates because they conserve. And this is not the case on this one. This one here, basically people conserved 100%. We'd still have captured enough of the fixed asset, of the fixed cost to cover the O&M. And so they get the three first units encompassed within the base rate. And we were always talking about 3 HCFs for like Mr. McKay had brought up for senior citizens. That's going to go from, we had presented that it was going to go to $34.89, but now it's going to go only to $33.02, but the first 3 units are incorporated in that. So that basically, from the difference from what we presented the last time to what we're presenting tonight, or what we presented to you 45 days ago, it's a reduction of $7.36. We reduced the rates more. And so overall, the sewer is going down. So the majority of the people out here, if you're using 3 HCFs, You're doing water and sewer both together, the majority of our customers. And overall, from what was presented to what you have now, it's going down $8.44 from what we were presented.
For what we're, to be clear, for what we presented back in June.
Correct. So it's only going up, I think, $7.72 for somebody that has water and sewer on the 3 units. And for the average person, the average customer out here uses 15 HCFs, it's only going up $7.60. And then that'll stop the bleeding that we talked about, the $1 million that we lost. That will also take into consideration the cost of water, and like we had discussed before, if we're able to purchase water rights, get water cheaper, find other ways of doing business and stuff, you can always come back and the board could always reconsider and actually lower the rates in the future. But this is based on, not the worst case scenario, but the middle of the ground scenario that we're gonna have to purchase AVAC water. And then I think we've gone over it a lot, and so if you have any other questions, it's the same report, the same rate study report that we presented to you a couple months ago.
It would also be appropriate to mention the 2 of 6
Yeah,
protest
we only
letters.
got 6 letters. We didn't open up 2 of them, but probably 6 letters of protest out of the 4,900 that we mailed out. And the threshold would be that we would get 50% plus 1 back.
I didn't get a protest letter. I didn't get a letter.
Okay.
Were the letters in the bills?
What's that?
Were the letters in the bills?
No, the letters were mailed out, correct.
It would have been mailed out about the middle of September, is that right?
I forgot what was the date of mailing.
At least 45 days notice, so probably earlier than that.
You see, there's one with a postmark. This one says, oh, these are the ones they sent back because we didn't have any return ones. We mailed them out like about 4 days after the meeting that you guys approved to have them mailed out.
That's true. There's another water company.
So it was back.
First week or second week of September?
Was it first week in September? I don't know, we have to look at it. So they were mailed over 45 days in advance of this hearing.
So you got a long many time. All right, any more presentation from the district staff?
No, just if you have any questions, and I think we've gone over it several times, and you've had the rate study to look at it, and we've had lots of meetings on it, and gone over it quite a bit.
Okay, number 3A3 is receipt of public testimony. Now, if you've been holding back, now's the time to come and tell us what you think. Does anybody want to testify?
Yeah, I just got one
If
question.
you could stand up there, sir.
Mr. Smith, I don't know you, but so far, what you're saying sounds pretty decent for most of us ratepayers. What I'd like to know is how long are you gonna lock us in on this rate? It's just, because Rosamond's, I've lived here 30 years. I've never seen the water drop, even by a penny.
Right, right. And
So
you know what,
it's-
I would have to say, when it comes to government, when they raise something, it never goes
I know, I've
down,
worked for
right?
both state and city governments.
I can tell you, I've worked on, with other agencies that we actually did lower things.
Yeah.
But what we're looking at right now, and like I said, we're in an adjudicated valley. The judge signed the order December 23rd, 2015, just, less than a year ago. And it put us in quite a predicament.
Okay.
We can pump like 2,900 acre feet of water. An acre foot takes care of an average size home for a year, and we're going to have to cut down to 404 acre feet of water that we can pump. Now, we can buy water rights, we can try to figure out a way to do that. We can lower the rates, but the study is based on if we have to buy AVAC water, which is the state water project, which once in a while we do have to buy state water project water because we have a tank that goes down, and we bought anywhere from sometimes 1,000 acre feet before.
On your best estimate, are we locked in for a year on this rate?
This
increase?
rate study is a 5-year rate study that has small little increments because of cost of electricity and everything over a period of time.
That's another thing too. They shut down the sewer plant. Thank God you guys did that. That was a white elephant to begin with. We're not paying a lot of electricity. You're only running those pumps, if my engineering is correct, only once a month to keep them limbered. And so it don't cost a lot of money to run.
I don't know,
those.
what are we doing with that? I think it's shut, I think it's mothballed is what they did, because if you turn it up, you gotta clean it again and everything. So it's shut down, we check with, you know, the engineers that, you know, manufacture that and everything to see what's safe. It was costing us, probably anywhere from, you know, $6,000 to $8,000 a month to run the tertiary end of it, okay, with the power and everything. And then right now the water just goes into a pond and evaporates. We can't legally use it for anything. We were watering the lawn over there, but, so now it's just in the secondary pond, which it has to go through anyway, so we're only using.
Are you gonna have to dig you have to dig 2 more ponds, or we got enough to handle?
No, we have enough ponds to handle that. That's the thing, unlike like in LA County, you know, they built, if you're on the 14 freeway, that monstrosity that cost like almost $300 million. They had to, because they have almost 500,000 people they take care of, and there's no place to put the effluent. Where we don't have that many people, we have about 19,000, 20,000, depending on what the records are, and we have enough to take care of the secondary water.
Okay, well, thank you, answered my question. To the board members, you guys might want to consider leasing that sewer plant out to somebody that really needs that reclaimed water, like maybe the solar panel company. They may pay you or lease it from out, we're still going to pay it. We have no choice. We got stuck with a $20 million white elephant. But at least you guys can start, get the thing up and running again. Maybe you have to make a little profit on it. We don't want it. It's too expensive to operate. Somebody else may be happy with it.
We're open to any creative idea whatsoever.
Personally, I think it should be tore down, hauled away for scrap, but that isn't gonna pay the bill. I've never been in favor of that system because we're way too small of a community to spend that kind of capital expenditure. We're way too small. The only thing I can think of more expensive than that would be desalinization. So anyhow, you answered my question. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the input.
Oh, one more question. When LA come and sunk with 2 or 3 more wells in the aquifer that we have here we're setting on, how come you guys didn't put an injunction against that? That's not their water to steal. It belongs to all of us. We're California residents. That belongs to all of us.
Well, as far as the AB groundwater adjudication, it's taken care of. If someone wants to drill a well, if it's a public entity and hasn't followed the rules, then that'll come back on them. I don't think that's happening right now.
Well, that's what you realize. That's why we're having a chromium problem right now, because we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the heavy metals to get the water we need for the community. And personally, I thought LA wastes so much damn water, it's unreal. I know, I work in their buildings. Those things are like waterfalls use less than they do.
Yeah, one thing that you know, we were talking about the chromium before that's interesting is that the other thing that the judge is looking at, and especially in our area, is the chromium that is in our water is the chromium that everybody's been drinking for
I knew that.
Hundreds of years, right?
Yeah.
Hinkley was, not only it was artificial chromium they were putting in. Our chromium, actually, the funny thing, the chromium-6 that we have here, it comes from the state mineral certainty.
I'm surprised we have not higher arsenic, because it's a mining area.
There are areas out here that have higher arsenic, that's true.
We do have higher here, arsenic.
No, higher than what we have. I was surprised.
Right, yeah, it's not, our water's not over the MCL, so we're doing fine.
All right, well, have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
I just have a short thing.
Go ahead,
excuse me.
Same thing I talked about last time I was here, but maybe you can give me some direction.
Okay.
As a homeowner and new here in this.
Go ahead, hold the mic down so we can record you and we can hear you better.
Okay. As a new homeowner here in my 2nd year, I asked last meeting that we were at, what can I do as a homeowner to get people that are homeowners to get the baseline back on our taxes, which we could write off?
Baseline?
The baseline that we pay for.
What do you mean, for sewer?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the board has that, you know, and that would be up to the board, but they, you know, you can.
That's the question I'm asking. What can I do to let other homeowners know that if we have it on our tax bill, we can write off our taxes? And
here's the thing. They have that information now, but we can't talk about that right now because this has to do with the, and I know it's sort of, it sort of meets with the, you know.
Well, you know what I got put off to the last time, so I get put off again.
No, it's just that we have to talk about the agenda. The agenda item right now is the rate study and the rates, and not where it's paid for.
Well, I'm not getting an answer to the last one.
We are talking about a sewer rate reduction, actually. I know that the agenda item says water sewer rate increase, but we're actually talking about water rate increase and a sewer rate reduction.
Right, but she's talking
So
about where.
it evens out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
But
it's like,
the board
it's
can
like Social
always take
Security,
into
if you get one
consideration.
amount of money, there's something else you get on the other side, so one goes up, one goes down, thank you for penny. You know, it's just, I don't get it. I can't get an answer last time I was here, and I can't get one here. I don't care if it is not on the agenda, it's something that I asked when it was on the agenda, and I'm not getting an answer. So voting is coming up in November.
Who's next?
And this is about the rate stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I understand there's a bunch of new housing projects that are being built, and I understand they're being taxed to, I guess, install the water and stuff. They're being taxed like $2 million each one of the housing units, or housing projects.
So it's $10,000 a door for water rates.
Is the income that's gonna be coming back from those customers using the water, is that being,
Could everybody just keep it down a little bit? I'm having a hard time listening to the people that are trying to speak. That's okay, thank you.
is that taken into consideration with this water increase, that you're going to have additional revenue with people paying water bills?
No,
and
there's
using water?
different, the increase in population is in the water study, the rate study, yes, so that is. But the fees that they pay to connect to the system, those fees go for different
No, I
items.
understand that.
So they have impact fees because it's gonna put stress, and then we have impact fees tonight on the agenda. There's impact fees when you have, 1,000 more people move into an area, everything's impacted, schools, roads, water, sewer, and so those are impact fees. And it doesn't change the rates. The rates are based on that you have more population come in, they're gonna be paying a base rate, they're gonna be paying a commodity rate, the increase of services and stuff, we can cover it with that rate. So that's a more complicated way of saying, yes, it's all, not the impact fees, but the new housing will be covered under this rate study. It's taken into consideration.
So who wants to speak next?
Yeah, just one question real quick. Senior citizens, so we get this straight. You're giving us 3 units. What is a unit? Two senior citizens, or in a trailer park or in a home. What will one unit give us? 4 days of free water? What do you
Well,
say a unit is,
okay.
roughly? Explain that for me.
Give me, how many gallons on an HCF?
748 gallons.
700,
per
okay,
building unit.
so a unit is built in, you see an HCF, that's 100 cubic feet, okay? So 100 cubic feet is
48 gallons.
I'm gonna write that down, that's why I have
Me
it.
too.
748 gallons,
Okay?
okay? Now, remember, don't use the word free, you're paying for it.
Well, yes, but
But
I'm saying,
it's built into your base rate.
okay,
So
I
if you
understand.
pay
I
your
just wanna
base
know.
rate, there's 2 different rates. There's the base rate that you pay, that everybody pays this base rate. So if you use no water whatsoever, you're paying for that base rate because we have to keep the district going, we have to keep the, the wells filled, all that. If you use more water than those first 3 units, then you pay, what's the rate on the, if you're in that 3 HCFs, you're paying, where's the commodity rate? Commodity rate is gonna be, right now you're paying $2.24 for every HCF you use, but the new rate's gonna go down to $2.13. So the commodity rate's gonna go down. So if you're a senior living in there and you only use, I think Mr. McKay only uses 3 HCFs, I think that's your average, so you only pay the base rate. And that gives you, and the average that you can figure out, I think in LA County, when you have lawns and shrubbery and a pool and everything, everybody says that you use about 260 gallons per day per capita. Well, I can tell you that when my family, I had dripper systems, I had a pool, and I had a family of 5, but I had low-flow toilets, I did everything I could to keep everything down, and we used about 60 to 80 gallons per day per capita. So I think everybody out here is trying to conserve, and so that's, so you can figure that 748 gallons a
Okay,
month
so Mr.
times
McKay,
3.
you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house? You and your wife?
Yes.
So you're living on $35 a month and it's working good. That's just so we all know. Next thing is, do you have a comparison of last month, what the water rate was in Rosamond compared to this month? We should have really made some money or something, because I go down my neighborhood, and I see one green lawn in every 10 yards. Everything else is dead. So we gotta be making money, we can't be losing something, we gotta be coming up in our water, I'm telling you, take a drive and look.
We're actually losing money that way, but,
We're just losing less money.
yeah.
Yeah, we're losing less money. And remember, you know, that, you know, you don't, even though you might take on more money, it's not an economy of scale. If you pump more water, guess what? I have to pay for electricity, chlorine, and it puts a stress on the system, so it's just not that we make more money. You know, there's still a
I
cost.
saw the article in the paper today about, they don't think killing these lawns are very good, over 350 million that they lost in LA County, or $1 billion, was in the paper. But anyways, next thing I'd like to ask you, real quick, is a week ago Friday, I walked my dog in the morning. Now one of the water pipes, when you turn them on and off, I know we turned over our landscaping to a different company out of Bakersfield. I guess the gentleman I talked to, he's out of Mojave.
And what are you talking about?
So, well, over on 40th and Orange,
Okay.
one of their little water meter boxes, water's coming out.
Correct. And
Okay, so I called, my friend did, you know, he's not here tonight, he didn't feel
Right,
good,
right,
but we called at 10 o'clock, says, you got water coming out of this, it's been running for almost half hour. The lady in here says, not our responsibility. What?
Okay.
What do you mean it's not your responsibility?
I remember that
Met the
phone-
board.
Right, and
Okay.
it came back to me.
And how much longer? So 7 hours later, I walked my dog at night at 4 o'clock, and the guy's over there fixing it. That water was running for 7 hours. Down the gutter.
Correct. So they're, even though the two CSAs, that CSA that you're in, is ran by the county now.
All I
So when
say
you
is,
called here, I told them, even though it's the county, you could have called the county, but then the county's gonna end up calling me. If there's a leak any place in this district, we care about it.
please have it fixed.
So I personally drove out there, I called the county, I had one of our employees go, we shut off the meter, I talked to the director of public works up in the county personally, and said, I shut the meter off, you know, you had leaks all over the place, and I said, when you get it fixed, call me back and we'll turn the meter back on for you. So we
Right.
took care of it, but I'm sorry they didn't, the front
Yeah,
office didn't
we
take
should just
care of
have,
it
all I'm
faster.
saying here is, we should have, there's a leak and we see it. It should be fixed as soon as possible. I don't care who does it.
Yeah, I mean, we
go there
have
and turn it
crews,
off.
we have crews that go out when there's major leaks, we have crews that go out 24 hours a day that can shut off leaks.
Okay, thank you.
Not small ones, we're not gonna go out in the middle of the night,
Well,
but if it's a
you got it.
fire hydrant, we'll be out there.
Who wants to testify next? Who wants to? The Exotic Feeling Company?
Greg, I'm the operations manager for Exotic Feline Breeding Compound, and I want to thank Brock. He spent a lot of time with me today, and you for referring me to him. And we just can't come up with anything for us. We're stuck. We are a nonprofit, and we're going into the commercial. We're being lumped into the commercial water, and so we are going to see an increase of at least $700 a month, and there's no way around it. And it's absolutely going to kill us. And the problem is because what we do with the Feline Conservation Center, we're governed by the USDA, and we have certain things that we have to do for those cats, so we don't have any way of dropping our units. So we're getting the highest on everything, the highest increase for the base rate, and then for the usage rate also. So I don't know if there's any way we can be classified as something else other than commercial, or if anybody has any other ideas of what to do with
I
this.
can look at it for this week and next week, and we can see if there's anything else, and I'll talk with Brock, and John Hatton will do that too, so we'll put our heads together and see if there's anything we can do. Can't guarantee it, but we'll do our best.
Well, realistically, maybe our attorney can tell us, can we charge a different rate to a nonprofit than if for profit with a 6-inch meter?
Well, and
And would if the other 6-inch meters are like a school district, for example, would that work?
That, charging based on the nature of the user as opposed to the nature of the use or the size of the meter puts us in a precarious position as far as defending the basis of our rate study, because our rate study is based on the costs of the district, and to comply with Capistrano, everything has to tie back and nexus back to the costs of the district of supplying the water. I don't know if there's a way to make the meter smaller, or if there's any of those things to downsize that, so that really what the cost would be just in the water itself.
The water itself is even if we brought our meter down, Brock went over with us, he's wonderful. And it's because of our units that we use, the number of units we use every single month. And we can't lower, we've lowered as much as we can, but because of USDA regulations, there's certain things that we have to do with all those cats. And we're not a rescue, we're actually a breeding facility for zoos all over the world. I mean, we have critically endangered animals. We're the ones that started the Muir leopard program. We're the only ones in North America that can breed Pallas's cats.
Is there a way that she can maybe access our secondary water or tertiary water?
Not right now.
Well, I mean, for credits or anywhere? I don't think we can do that.
So, but we can talk in Brockton when John comes back this week. We can sit down and talk some more and see if there's anything we can do. But like I said, we can look into it deeply, but we can't guarantee anything.
Thank you.
Christie? Who wants to provide some testimony next? Ever, anything?
Just a question. On the sewage rate, going back on our property tax.
It's not going back in the property tax.
Thank you, thank you.
Anyone else want to speak? On the board? All those in favor say aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
It's
All right.
resolution.
Director Singletucker?
Yes.
Director Glenn?
Yes.
Director McKay?
No.
Vice President Landsgaard?
Yes.
Passes 3-1 with Director McKay voting no.
Okay, now PH1C, adopt resolution number 2016-107, establishing rates for sewer service fees.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Glennon. Have a second? Second by Mr. Singledecker. Any further discussion among the board? All those in favor? Oh, actually, roll call.
Director Singletucker?
Yes.
Director Glenn?
Yes.
Director McKay?
No.
Vice President Landsgaard?
Yes.
Passes 3-1 with Director McKay voting no.
Okay, PH2, this is a whole other public hearing, guys. Approval of a water master plan, a sewer master plan, and establishing impact fees. Presenter Ronald D. Smith.
Yes, this
It
document
would be
was.
appropriate to first open the public hearing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Item A, public hearing regarding the approval of water master plan, sewer master plan, establishing impact fees. I'm officially opening the public hearing. Mr. Smith.
Yes, this was done by an engineer and completed a little less than 2 years ago. And what it does is it establishes the infrastructure as we grow for impact fees. Like I had said before, impact fees are those that are placed on new developments coming in, because as we grow, like if we build 1,000 homes, there's more pipes, there's more tanks, there's more pumps, there's more, all that infrastructure. And this, the engineering report, the attorneys have looked at it, justifies the increase of those impact fees. We've been behind on these impact fees for a number of years. So that's why we don't have enough money to build some of the stuff that we'd like to build. And so it's about time that this has gotten done. It should have been done 2 years ago. So staff would like to pass these, and they'll take effect January 1st. Oh, just so a note too, staff has decided that, you know, the rate study that was passed and the new rates that are passed, those will take effect January 1st. So it's going to take time. We have to switch the computers over, switch the booking over, and everything. We thought that would be an appropriate time to start the rates.
Okay, with respect to this particular rate increase, is this for connection fees for new services? Is that
New
correct?
services, correct.
And could you just summarize, water pays what right now?
$5,000 for a residential connection. That would be a 5/8 meter.
And sewer pays how much?
$2,400.
$2,400 for a sewer connection?
Yeah, there's also a $1,650 conservation fee, and that's associated with the wastewater treatment plant. That helps fund the wastewater treatment plant.
So it's a total of $4,000 then?
Yeah, $4,050 for
So you're
sewer.
already taking care of buying into the sewer treatment plant?
Yes.
Okay.
Plus they have their ABAC fees that they have to pay on top of that.
There's, when you build new, you have school fees, you have fire fees, you got a whole list of, yeah.
Well, what is the
bond
AVIC fee for
fees,
water on that?
Quimby fees.
For a 5/8 meter, currently it's about $4,950.
AVIC charges almost as much as we charge for the, just for their.
Yes, they do, that's their capacity fee.
Even though we need to provide any AVIC water.
That's just to be connected to their system.
And you're proposing that we raise the fees from $5,000 connection on water to what?
On water?
Yeah.
Starting January, if we would have done this sooner, it would have been 10,000, it's gonna be 11,248.64.
11,248.64?
Correct. And you can see the calculations within the engineer's study.
On the sewer, you wanna go from 2,400 to what?
It's gonna go to 8,240 as of January 1st, 2016.
8,240, that is 1,650 impact fee? The conservation fee?
No, that's just the sewer connection
He
fee.
just brought that in.
So actually, the total is gonna be 9,990 for sewer. So it's gonna go up $5,900.
You said conservation fee, you were doing the sewer.
The conservation is associated with the sewer connection.
Associated with the sewer.
They're not the same fee.
It's not the same fee, it's not the one you're voting on tonight.
Oh, okay, but we're going from 2,400 to 8,200, is that correct? That's what we're proposing.
8,240, even.
And water going from 5,000 to 11,448.64. And
It's been a long time coming, these rates have been pretty low for quite a while.
well, my question is there, obviously we have a proposed resolution in front of us. If we decide to do half that much, could we do half that much?
You can do whatever you want, you can do none,
Okay.
but you're just losing, then that's not gonna be money to the district. With the development coming in, the engineer report, you'd have to disagree with the engineer's report and say the engineer was wrong and didn't calculate what our infrastructure needs to be built out to.
And that's
And the
almost
money
a
that we need.
two-year-old report.
And this is a 2-year-old report, and it was also a late report because it hadn't been done for, I don't know, when was the last time impact fees were done?
2006.
2006.
So these impact fees have been in place since 2006, is that correct?
Correct, so we're 10 years behind. So the whole time that they should have been updated, 10 years ago, and then you'd have more money in the bank to do the infrastructure you need. We need new tanks, we need new pumps, and so that's what these are for.
I'm trying to wrap my head around, I've got sticker shock here, Brad. Sticker shock, Brad. So if we'd increased it 10% per year from 2006, what would it have been?
Starting at $5,000, would have been about a $500 increase per year.
So that it would have been about where we're at now, is that right?
Correct.
This is basically,
You're playing catch up for something that should have been done a long time ago.
Should have been done 10 years
Mr.
ago.
Smith said. I mean, cities do this every year. Most of my other
it would be
clients.
nice if we did it every year, because I got sticker shock, I gotta tell you. But, all right, let's go ahead, we have the, is there any more for the presentations? Did you want to comment on that, Mr. Accountant?
Well, Mr. Smith and the other Mr. Smith and I worked diligently together on this, so the math that's been brought forward has been well vetted.
Okay, that's what
And in 2 years, we'll do another one, and we'll assess, things change, infrastructure changes, costs change, and we can do another one.
Okay, let's open up the hearing for public testimony then.
The hearing is already open, but you're
I
not
mean,
going to take public
I
testimony?
want to take
There
public
it is.
testimony. Does anybody want to comment on, is anybody building a house soon that wants to comment on paying, instead of 9,000 to hook up, at 20,000 to hook up?
And here's another comment you can think of too, that we have talked about before and the public should know, is that the whole idea for impact fees is that a developer coming in, building commercial, for profit, or building housing use for profit, should not benefit on the backs of the ratepayers, that they should pull their own weight. And so if you don't get these particular fees, then the ratepayers are gonna suffer, and they're, benefiting for somebody making a profit. And so that's the idea of saying that when somebody comes in, you gotta pay your fair share for the infrastructure, just like with schools and roads and the fire department.
Well, have you heard from any developers, anybody that, nobody's objected to it, somebody said that's weird?
They're always gonna object to it.
But no, they,
I have not had any
but nobody
correspondence.
said anything, is what I'm saying.
We have not had any correspondence.
I understand that you mentioned that to a couple of folks, that their connection fees are gonna be increased. Is that right? And they said, they didn't say, I hate that, I'm not gonna do that, or they like,
I I'm not gonna have that
Cost of doing
conversation.
business.
Okay.
The last time.
I have a very, very long relationship with the majority of the major developers in this valley. And developers work on this way. They see what the fees are. I've always known them to never really be upset at fees one way or the other. They want you to come there, tell me what the fees are, they pencil it out. If it pencils out, they do the development. If it doesn't pencil out, they go, I'll do it another day. And that's how they function. You know, not the builders necessarily, but the developers themselves. Because usually a developer comes in, what we call land flippers. They'll come in, buy a big swash of land, they'll do the engineering, they'll do the track map, they'll pay all the fees, they'll get everything ready, and then they'll sell it to KB Home per unit. And if they pencil it out and KB's gonna pay so much a lot, and they make the profit, they turn it over, and that's how they do it. And so, yes.
The last time we raised these fees, and they knew about it, the development across the street that was dormant and has come to life, the one across over there, they paid their fees back then, and it sat dormant. But now when those homes are added, they're on the old fee product. In other words, raising these fees, if somebody's gonna build.
And you're correct on that. These here, and these homes that are being, and that's the property you were talking about before, that's at the end of 30th Street.
Yeah.
That's the other phase.
They're on they paid the old
They
one.
paid, how long ago did the one, we were talking about,
Frontier Homes.
Frontier Homes paid the fees how long ago?
Their fees were paid out to Assessment District, I believe 1991-2.
Yeah, so
their fees are.
they pay that, and then they, and they get will serve letters for water, they do all that stuff, and they package it together, and they wait till the market's right, and then they make money.
Do we have any other people from the public wish to testify on raising connection fees? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Item PH2B, adopt resolution.
Comments.
Oh, projector comments, go ahead, sorry.
Underneath the calculation of water impact fee and service charge, you have 10 items here. I would like number 7 struck from this agreement, and it reads, existing customers will pay 30% of the cost of proposed improvements. And that should not be. This is what the engineer is saying. We have a system here that we bought and paid for. If somebody wants to come in and join us, they should pay the full cost of joining us, not the existing customers paying any part of this.
Correct. And that's fine, we'll strike that. We don't need a particular vote on that, but we'll present that to you with that stricken from there.
Yeah, and that won't change the.
Won't change the fees, won't change anything.
So an appropriate motion would be to adopt resolution number 2016-105
We're striking that.
with the language stricken from item 7 as noted by Director McKay.
That's my motion.
Have a
That's your
second?
motion.
Second.
Very good.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 2016-105, striking number 7 from the engineer's report concerning homeowners paying 30% of the connection fees, approving a master plan, approving a master sewer plan, and establishing impact fees.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Dr. Schindler?
Yes.
Dr. Glennon?
Yes.
Director McKay?
Yes.
Vice President Landsgaard?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, director reports, comments, future agenda items. Start with Mr. Leonard. Mr. McKay?
I'll have them next time, next meeting.
Mr. Singledecker?
No.
From the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council, we heard 2 things at the meeting. One was all the candidates forum, they gave their presentations, were very well done. We heard from about 90% of the candidates. Don't forget to vote November 8th if you haven't already voted, if you have an absentee ballot. That's coming up this Tuesday. It's your right, it's your franchise. Don't forget to exercise it. Number 2, there is a lot of concern about the pot shops that are proliferating on Diamond Street. And the community, especially the business community on Diamond Street, is upset about that. Especially the fumes from marijuana plants this time of year are very pungent. It seems to be affecting business downtown. Anybody who wants to help out on that, obviously the RMAC could be a good venue to go to and complain, but also the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce is interested in council update?
Nothing for open session, thank you.
General manager update?
Nothing at this time?
Assistant general manager update?
We have no update.
And director of finance update?
No update at this time.
Public works?
No update.
Okay, we're waiting for the log speech from the director, administrator, board, secretary.
No update.
No update, okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And move to adjourn, second. Second by Mr. Singledecker, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 9:20 PM, is that correct?
8:20.